everyone, my name is Steph. This is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a roundup of all the books that I have DNF'd so far in the year. So it is the 20th of April. I have DNF'd 30 books so far this year. I have learnt from the master, Heather from Here Booktubes, and now I am just weeding my way through a whole lot of books. And honestly, it's great because I think DNF'ing is such an important part of knowing your reading taste, and I think it can be a really negative thing when we tell ourselves that we have to finish something that we start, because we don't. That's how I in the past have gotten caught in reading slumps, because I just don't want to read, because I'm the kind of person who has to, if I start a book, either have to finish it or DNF it. Like that's where my brain is. I can't sit on multiple things for long periods of time. I have to make a decision about whether or not it's something that's going to stay in my collection. Now, sometimes the things that I DNF do stay in my collection, most of the time they don't. And that's just purely based on preference. Sometimes it's an author that I love and that book itself is not working for me, but I am, collecting that author's works because I genuinely enjoy what they do, but that particular book itself is not for me. And usually I'll keep it if it's in a series, or in the case of one of these authors, just because I love the author and it just makes me really sad that I could not get into the book. But anyway, most of these are DNF'd, and if they're an ebook, they get deleted off my Kindle. So some people just mark them as read and just keep them. I'm never coming back to these books, so they get deleted. So let's start off. I have a list. Some of them, well, I don't have a huge amount of notes. Some of them are just, I didn't like the writing style and so I DNF'd it. And that's a totally valid reason as well. But the ones that do have a reason, I will let you know. I do have a computer over here, so if you see me looking in this direction, it's because I'm checking my notes, because there's a lot of books here. I can't keep all this information in my head. The first book was Summer Magic by T.M. Cromer. Now, I was reading this in my summer reading vlog, I'm pretty sure, and this one was more because I just found the entire premise ridiculous. Like, I got into it, and it is, like, this book was about a character called Summer, and she has sisters, Autumn, Winter, and Spring. I don't mind those names individually, but if you have an entire family of sisters with seasons names, were you asking for them to be bullied at school? I don't know. Anyway, they're witches and they have this menagerie of animals, and it just kind of got really, really ridiculous. Like, the number of animals that were involved in the first couple of chapters, it was nuts. And I couldn't, so I put it down. Then there was Duo Act by Lainee Ash. I actually started reading this one and it made me incredibly uncomfortable. This one is about silks performers. I think it was sapphic. I really wanted to like it, and this one was a total miss. Like, I felt so uncomfortable while reading the start of this, so stopped reading it. I attempted to start Red Card by Liz Crowe. This one, my notes say that I was confused about the relationship, and that's because it was a siblings widow relationship. The whole thing just felt weird. Strange, weird. Then I tried Scorching to the Touch by Ofelia, Ofelia Marinez. These characters were just toxic with each other and just in general, and I'm not about that. If it's an author I trust, maybe I can look past it, but I don't know this author, and it was deeply uncomfortable reading these two characters. This is the book I was talking about earlier, 10 Things That Never Happened by Alexis Hall. I love Alexis Hall so much. I love his books. His books are fantastic. He writes really well. There was nothing wrong with the writing in this book. It was just the fact that this is based on lying. It's a relationship that's based on lying. So the protagonist in the story works for I think it's like a furniture company or whatever it is. His boss is a tyrant. His boss is god-awful, and the main character is trying, like, he sees the best in people, and even though his employees who work with him at this branch that he manages are hopeless, like, he knows that they've got families and kids and they're doing the best that they can, but his boss just sees them as a liability, and they're not, they could be earning more money, but they're just not doing that job. There's an accident and our character falls through like a glass screen door and has to go to hospital, and then ends up faking amnesia. And had this been true amnesia, I would fine, totally fine. But the fact that it's fake, I felt really uncomfortable with this. So I couldn't keep reading it. Then there was Infiltrated by Ruby Smoke. I didn't put any notes down for this, so it must have just been the writing style that I wasn't vibing with. Crossing Lines by Adrienne Giordana, and this one I just had the note that it was not compelling, so that's 100% a writing style thing because I just was not at all interested. Something Wilder by Christina. I got a good third of the way through this book. Like, I got significantly into it and I was just bored. I was so bored. So that's why I stopped it. Third Time Lucky by Jennie Q. I read the first couple of chapters. It didn't hook me into the story. I was not at all interested in continuing reading it, so we stopped reading that one. There was Saving Her Selkie by Nicole. Yeah, Nicole. This is a paranormal romance, and I was reading it as part of a try a chapter video for Kindle edition. For memory, this was overly dramatic and not at all what I was interested in reading at the time. Actually, the next couple are from the Kindle try chapter videos. So there was Break the Girl by Rachel Jonas. This was a dark Y-choose romance. And I suspected it was going to become a bully hockey romance. And I'm not about bully romances. Like that's a hard no for me. Leather and Lace by Samantha Cole. That was for the same video. This is a romantic suspense book. I just didn't care for it. How to Be a Normal Person by TJ Klune. Again, another author I really enjoy. The writing in this one was strange. It was strange. I was going to keep it for a little while and then I realized, you know what? I'm not. Like, I don't need to read it. There are other things by TJ Klune that I enjoy far more and I think have more of an emotional impact on me. I don't need to keep ones that I'm not interested in. There was The Stone and the Star by Jillian Graves and I just did not like the first chapter. Your first chapter has to hook people into it. I'm sorry, but it's a fact. Okay, then we come to my hockey romance reading vlog, which this got rid of a whole stack of books off my TBR. I will refer you to that vlog if you want to know specifically why, because I left a lot of these blank because mostly it was just like, yeah, no.
Potentially the most Australian I have been on this channel. Yeah, no.
So there was Vegas Vixens by Kenyhercz, The Scoring Secret by Ainsley Booth, Totally Pucked by Paris Wynters, Healthy Scratch by Robyn M. Ryan, Pucking My Fake Fiance by Livvy Stone, Secret Puck by Rebecca Jenshak, Take the Shot by Danica Flynn, Hooked by Lynn Stevens, Timely Assist by Robyn M. Ryan. So I didn't have 2 Robyn M. Ryans in here, so we're not going to read any more Robyn M. Ryan. The Forward Line by KG Aaron, Another Charge by Alexa Paget, and The Wedding Winger by Delancey Stewart. I DNF'd all of those in one vlog. I DNF'd In Too Deep by Jade Church. I really did not vibe with this book. It just seemed very over the top, and that's not what I'm about. I also DNF'd A Power Unbound by Freya Mask, and honestly, I was so excited for this book. I was listening to the audiobook and I might have to come back to it and try and physically read it to see if I can get through it, because I was 100% invested in the main character of this book, but I was so bored. I was so bored. I got 50% of the way into this book and I couldn't anymore because I was putting off reading it because I didn't care. And while this series was never going to be an all-time favorite series, but it was one that I was interested in seeing where it was going, particularly in this final character. And I couldn't. I don't know what it was about this particular audiobook or the story or the way that it was written. I just couldn't get through it. And it actually makes me really, really sad because I was really excited to finish the trilogy. The Beekeeper of Elderflower Grove. So this was one of the books that I was going to read for the Buzzword Readathon. I just wasn't interested. I started it and the writing didn't grip me. So I'm going to have to check and see if I've read something else for the challenge for April. And then the last one is The Sinner and the Gunslinger by Lainee Ash. And this is one of those books that I will probably keep and I may try and continue another time. I don't think while I was reading it that it was the right time for me to read it. And I don't think it's going to be in the next little while. But I do really enjoy Lainee Ash's writing because I know what I'm going to get from her stories. I knew exactly what I was going to get from this and I think it was just the wrong time for me to read it. So it is a DNF, but it's going on my shelf, just like 10 Things That Never Happened. I have a copy of that. I am keeping those copies and we shall see. I might come back to it at a later date. The Sinner Sisterhood series is probably not my favorite of Lana's works. I definitely enjoy the Fae Guardians and the Deadly Seven series, but yeah, this one is a bit hit or miss for me. So we're just going to let it sit there for a little bit and we'll see if I come back to it. And that, my friends, are my DNFs for the first third of the year. So yes, I can highly recommend try chapter videos or videos where you read to try and get a 5-star book, but set yourself a limit of DNFing if it is below a certain rating for you, because that is a really good way to clear things off a TBR, particularly since I had so many hockey romance books and they're all on my Kindle. Like, I'm not precious about that. Most of them I got for free through a Stuffy Kindle Day sale. So I'm not precious about it. The author's got the boosted numbers of people downloading the book. So I've done my part in there. I don't need to read and love the book. Like I've done that part of supporting the author. So that was a really good challenge and one I highly recommend if you are trying to be brutally honest with yourself in what you want to read and what you want to have in your collection. Maybe I was a little bit too brutally honest, but anyway. In the comments, I would love to know, 1, are you DNFing books? And 2, what was the last book you DNF'd? Because I'm finding it rather therapeutic. If you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave that crossed arm emoji character because we're saying no to all of these books. Well, I am at least. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you're in the world, you're staying safe and healthy and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.